This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
The information specific to Equifax unfortunately includes some more sensitive information that wouldn't necessarily be out there before, which might be answers to security questions and some more personal information about credit.
Millions of Americans could be impacted by the Equifax data breach. Our personal information is out there. How can we protect it from getting into the wrong hands? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on protecting your personal information in a moment. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. His job was to send people to prison when they broke the law. Tonight, former Sarasota County Sheriff's Deputy Frank Bybee is heading there himself for the next 15 years of his life. ABC 7's Jess Dowdrick was in the courtroom today and has more. Obviously, we have some technical difficulties, and we will have Jess's story coming up in just a few minutes from now. 2 of Bybee's former colleagues were in the court themselves today. Both Sergeants Christopher Felix and Deputy Chris Butler admitted to meeting the night before they took the stand in the Bybee trial to watch a recording of the night that they responded to the scene of the crime. They were there to discuss a court order not to discuss their testimony. Felix and Butler claimed their intent was to recall what the victim told them that night, and both men were found not guilty of contempt. State Senator and Republican gubernatorial candidate Governor Jack LaVitale will not be in this year's Veterans Day parade as planned. He's accused of groping 6 women and making demeaning comments. LaVitale issued a statement on why he won't be the Grand Marshal. Veterans Day is about our fine veterans, he said, and not about me. The parade will go on Anna Maria Island and will go on scheduled tomorrow. Busy week for the Sarasota police. Another undercover operation on Tuesday. 64-year-old Carol Wright of Bradenton, 75-year-old Dennis Sneary of Bradenton, and 20-year-old Jose Uribe of Sarasota were arrested and charged with solicitation of prostitution. The arrests were made in the northern part of Sarasota. The head coach of Southeast High School's football team is out. Coach Rashad West has resigned. The resignation coming on the heels of 6 Southeast High School football players being suspended for 4 weeks after a fight at the end of a recent game. The team also had to forfeit 6 wins earlier in the season due to using an ineligible player. A Florida legislator is resigning to take a job with the Trump administration. Polk County State Representative Neil Cumby is taking a job with the U.S. Department of Agriculture Farm Services Agency. Last month, the White House nominated Representative Carlos Chihulo to become ambassador to the Organization of the American States. Some Florida legislators are trying to make it harder for future lawmakers to raise taxes. They are seeking a ballot amendment requiring approval from 2/3 of the House and Senate to raise taxes and fees. Right now, taxes and fees can be approved by simple majorities.
I still want to end up where this state's the best place to get a job. Your kids get a better education here, and people are safe here.
If lawmakers go along, 60% of voters would have to approve it next year. And as we mentioned at the top of the newscast, his job was to send people to prison when they broke the law. Tonight, former Sarasota County Sheriff's Deputy Frank Bybee is heading there himself for the next 15 years of his life. ABC 7's Jess Dowdrick was in the courtroom and has more.
Judge Mason heard from both sides, the state and the defense, one last time before making his decision. It's something that he says he's thought long and hard about. After the state asked him for a maximum of 30 years and the defense asking him for a minimum of 8, Frank Bybee will spend 15 years behind bars and another 10 of probation.
He embarrassed law enforcement, he embarrassed the sheriff's office, and he's wrecked his life. He's wrecked his life of his family.
Tears ran down Frank Bybee's face as the defense talked about his family. Now sentenced to serve 15 years in prison, Bybee won't be around to see his 3 young boys grow up.
And he is extremely close with those 3 boys. I mean, they're 16, 12, and 3.
Bybee's soon-to-be ex-wife was in the courtroom when he learned his fate. Sheriff Tom Knight and a team of deputies there as well for this final chapter of the Bybee saga.
On January 23rd, I told this community that we had a criminal. We had arrested out of the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, and I was right. We said back then we knew he was a criminal, and he got what he deserved today.
Just last month, Bybee was convicted of kidnapping, exploiting the elderly, and a number of fraud charges, acquitted of attempted murder. His victim, 80-year-old Marcia Soul.
What he did, sending fake emails to her doctor and taking her out of, essentially taking her out of the community for 14 days, and he took that time, that 14 days, to steal her money, go into her accounts, essentially go through everything in her home, is just reprehensible that law enforcement could do such a thing.
Judge Donald Mason seemingly struggling with determining a sentence as a former law enforcement officer himself.
You've heard every one of these people sitting in this courtroom today with a uniform on. You've heard every single one of them. You've made their job that much tougher by your actions in a time when being a cop is a tough thing to be.
Frank Bybee walking out of the courtroom for the last time, telling his wife that he loves her one more time. The defense says they are appealing that kidnapping conviction. They say it'll be interesting to see what happens if that goes through. Reporting in Sarasota, Jess Dowdrick, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
Now let's head over to ABC7's Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan with the first alert forecast. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. A beautiful evening tonight. Sunset was just absolutely spectacular. Photos keep coming into pics at mysuncoast.com. A weak front has made its way through now southwest Florida, and you can see basically some of the high clouds associated with it creating this spectacular sunset this evening. Satellite imagery showing that front for the most part right across central Florida. It's a very weak one. It'll limp through overnight, bringing with it just some slightly cooler temperatures, hardly noticeable, and maybe some slightly drier air. No rainfall anticipated. Winds are all out of the northwest now, and you can see that a little stronger out on the waters near Anna Maria, 11 miles an hour less as you push to the east. And same story down in South Sarasota County out of the northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour for the most part. And our current conditions at the Sarasota Bradian Airport is clear, and the dew point temperature at 70 now, and the dew point temperature and a regular temperature pretty close to one another, but with a pretty good wind. We're not going to see much fog forming. The humidity at 90%. The barometer is going back up now, 29.99 inches, and the Gulf water temperature 76 degrees and mid-70s, upper 70s, still hanging on across parts of the Suncoast. Northport, you're at 76, Braden 73, Punta Gorda 76 degrees. The evening planner shapes up to be real nice, generally fair, and temperatures in the upper 60s by 11 o'clock. No real threat of any rainfall with this front. There's another one coming down, though. It'll be here over the weekend, and it looks like it could bring a few showers, but not a lot of rainfall. They are seeing some rain up into the Carolinas and also Georgia, but that's where it's going to stay for the time being.
Hit and miss.
That's right.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, with so much of our personal information floating around the internet, how can we protect ourselves? Is it too late? Stay with us.
Take the trolley to Siesta Beach for the Crystal Classic Sand Sculpting Festival, November 10th through 13th. See master sand sculptors create works of art. It's family fun with hands-on kids activities, sand sculpting lessons, music, food, a party tent, and more. Visit SiestaKeyCrystalClassic.com.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to Mesobook.com.
Attention, Americans eligible for Medicare. Are you getting all the benefits you're entitled to? Did you know there may be money available to lower your medical prescription costs? Call Health Markets and we'll tell you if you qualify.
Hi, I'm Dr. Martin Jeetsi. It's a new Medicare year. That means more changes and more confusion. The key question is, what can you do now to ensure you get the care you need in the coming year?
Call Health Markets today. You may qualify to save money on prescriptions. We'll help you find plans that may cost less, cover more, and could even lower your prescription costs to increase your savings. We help you find all the benefits you're entitled to, and we do it at no cost.
Make sure you have what you need to get the care that's right for you.
Find out if you qualify to receive extra help with your prescriptions. Call the number on the screen now. Representatives are standing by.
The ABC7 First Alert Hurricane Guide. Download yours today.
It's bigger and better. The Siesta Key Crystal Classic Sand Sculpting Festival, November 10th through 13th. 24 international artists create massive sand sculptures. Enjoy 4 days and 2 nights with live music, food, a party tent, and more. See SiestaKeyCrystalClassic.com for details.
At least 145 million Americans could be impacted by this year's Equifax data breach, but it's likely that even more information could be at risk. ABC7's Erica Jackson joins us now to explain why more Social Security numbers, birth dates, and credit card information may be exposed. Erica.
Thank you, Alan. You can find personal information in different places throughout the internet, like your birthday, home address, and answers to security questions like your mother's maiden name. Those are all pieces to the puzzle of your life, and the completed masterpiece was leaked through the Equifax breach and potentially other outlets.
It's the problem that keeps on giving.
Our personal information is out there. A small gap in a cyber system could leave just enough space for hackers to wiggle their way in and access data.
The information specific to Equifax unfortunately includes some more sensitive information that wouldn't necessarily be out there before, which might be answers to security questions and some more personal information about credit.
44% of the American population could be impacted by the breach, but Serge Jorgensen, founder of cybersecurity data forensics group Silent, says the other 56% likely has personal information floating around on the internet, which can be accessed by hackers without much effort.
Equifax made a little bit of a one-stop shop for the attackers in that they get things in a tight, cohesive package, so maybe they don't have to go acquire it individually.
Everybody's information has been exposed now, and there's nothing that we can do about this.
Consumer watchdog Jerry Zivick believes credit monitoring will become a full-time job for many Americans.
And they've put a responsibility on us for the rest of our lives. They say, go check online every day. So all we're doing is we're just going to know 5 minutes sooner that our account's been hacked.
The concern has more Americans making in-store purchases in cash as part of an effort to hold back on sharing personal information. But the victims might not see the effects of the breach for decades because the hackers likely won't use the information for years.
20 years from now, you could be going out to buy a house, and lo and behold, you've got bad credit. In fact, I would recommend anybody that's making a large purchase like a house, leave a little extra time because you don't know what's going to appear on your credit report.
Floridians need to pay extra attention when checking their credit. A study by Wallet Hub found Florida to be the 4th worst state for identity theft and fraud, behind California, Rhode Island, and the District of Columbia. Zivick and Jorgensen agree that the solution starts with educating people to hold back some personal information while on the internet.
Everybody's Social Security number is out there. I'm pretty sure I could find yours in 5 minutes of searching online, and I have almost no skills in that area.
Jorgensen says large corporations like banks need to become more strict before accepting information from new customers and encourages all companies to enhance its cybersecurity measures.
In their defense, the attackers just have to find that one vulnerability, that one loophole.
Zivick suggests taking extra steps so potential hackers have to do a lot of extra work before accessing your personal information.
You want to be in a situation where you bank in different places. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Even though it's all findable, it's just a harder trail then to follow to take away all of your funds.
The former CEO of Equifax says the investigation now involves the FBI and believes it was a result of both human and technological error. Federal lawmakers have called for legislation to better protect Americans from another data breach in the future.
Erica, thank you. What you need to know and what you need to do, all the data is next at the Trapezoid.
Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Make your holidays sparkle with style. Browse our amazing showroom, cute collectible cottages, and beautiful Christmas displays. Find the inspiration, selection, and quality you need to deck the halls merry and bright. Christmas Traditions also features the area's largest selection of quality pre-lit Christmas trees, every size, shape, and color, and plenty of decorations to make your home shine for the holidays. Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Visit us on New 301, just a quarter-mile north of University Parkway.
Do you need a good laugh? Starting November 1st at the Player Center, everything that can go wrong does go wrong in the smash hit comedy Moon Over Buffalo. This wild Broadway series production shows what happens both on stage and off. Contact the Players at 365-2494 or at theplayers.org. The show must go on with Moon Over Buffalo.
This is an important announcement. If you're between 50 and 85 and worried about your loved ones, you can still get affordable life insurance for peace of mind.
My life insurance coverage is guaranteed, and I was not required to get a medical exam.
I had high blood pressure and diabetes, and I got my coverage with one telephone call. No exam necessary.
I'm a smoker, and I wanted to take care of my family. I called to get my life insurance and my affairs in order. I wanted to do the right thing.
Call Final Expense No Exam Insurance. Your rates are guaranteed and will never increase.
I called and learned that this insurance cannot be canceled even if you get sick or gain weight.
And there are no restrictions on how my beneficiaries use the money when I'm gone.
Approval was easy and the price was right. I wanted to do this for my children.
Call 800-738-9812. 800-738-9812.
Attention type 2 diabetics. The FDA warns of an increased risk of amputation associated with certain diabetes medications. If you took the diabetes medications Invokana or Invokamet and then suffered an amputation or one of these other serious injuries, call the Rely On Group right now. If you've suffered amputation or any of these other injuries after taking your diabetes medication, call the Rely On Group today. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-604-1698. That's 800-604-1698.
Welcome back. Have you checked to see if your personal information has been compromised because of the humongous Equifax data breach? Are you kidding? Hackers gain access to the personal information of 140 million Americans, so there's a good chance you are a victim whether you know it or not. Has the Equifax breach freaked you out? Has it changed the way you shop? Do you pay in cash? And finally, have these huge corporations that have all our information in their collective act, are they getting their act together, figuring out how to prevent these kinds of hacks from threatening our financial livelihood? Joining us for more is Jeff Birnbach, a partner in the Sarasota-based cybersecurity firm Silent, and Jerry Zivick, our own consumer watchdog. Jerry, let me start with you because I can't tell you how many people who I talk to who are going to certain companies that are known to have breaches and just paying in cash and not using their charge card.
I don't think that makes a difference. That's not going to save them because the data is still there. And as long as the data is there, it's exposed. There's 2 points really to look at. There's your own personal data that you keep at home and the data that all these companies keep. You have Equifax and all these other companies that knows what we wore yesterday. And there are points of entry there that we don't control at all.
Jeff, what is corporate America doing about this?
Well, I think people are becoming much more security conscious in the corporations. A number of states are imposing new regulations. New York was the most recent. DFS 500 requires any company that deals with financial information, financial data, to really raise the bar and do a better job of protecting people. So we're starting to see some reactions.
Well, you raised 2 different issues there. One is, when you have been on this broadcast before, we talked about that there are not a lot of companies that are really being proactive about it. They're being more reactive.
Correct.
So question number 1 is, are you starting to see more companies out there like Equifax or or companies in the financial services industry being proactive about their security?
We're starting to see the conversation at much higher levels. After the Target breach happened a couple of years ago, boardrooms started talking about it, and board directors started getting concerned about it. And that started to trickle down to the point that we are seeing changes and a number of companies.
Well, you know, we could tell why, because the new earnings report for Equifax came out, and whereas revenue is up, profit is down because they may have some kind of legal bills that they're paying.
Yes and no, because I'm sure Equifax has got insurance for this. And probably if I was in the insurance business, I would want to get into selling cyber insurance. This is a business that's growing exponentially in the past few years.
So the other question here is, Jeff, you're talking about states like New York requiring certain things. Why aren't we seeing this done on the federal level to handle all U.S. companies and have some kind of standard in terms of what kind of precautions and security corporations need to take?
No, it's interesting you asked that. Right now there are 47 different state laws regarding breach notification for consumers, but there is no national law regarding breach notification. And I think we're going to probably see something like that, if not this legislative session, maybe the next year.
Well, I mean, what is taking the federal government so long? Or is it because Congress is trying to do some other things?
Well, you know, that's a whole different question, certainly beyond my pay grade to answer. But, you know, I think that we're starting to see at federal levels the recognition that people have to be treated fairly across the board. And it's going to take a bit of time for the federal government to go ahead and respond to those concerns.
Jerry, under federal regulations right now, does the FEC or anybody like that have regulations in place that will at least provide some kind of protections?
Well, there's some. It's a patchwork of what's out there, and nobody really has the wherewithal to enforce it. But what's interesting, here in Florida, there was an attempt to create an Office of Technology and Data Solutions within the Department of Management Services, and the governor vetoed that.
Why?
You'd have to ask him. I'm not privy to that.
All right.
You know, now, I should mention there are federal laws related to healthcare information, for instance, HIPAA. But we don't see anything equivalent to that on the consumer financial side.
All right, we are just getting warmed up. We'll have much more on the Equifax data breach right after we check the first alert weather. Stay with us.
Consumer Cellular makes it easy to stay in touch with family and stay within our budget.
Now our cell phone bill is only a fraction of what it used to be.
Our average customers get everything they need for about $25 a month, and plans start at only $15 a month with no contracts.
Consumer Cellular has a great choice of phones. Check out my new one.
I picked this simple phone.
I use my son's old smartphone. Kept my number, too.
Consumer Cellular has been an approved AARP provider since 2008, and members get exclusive discounts.
It's a good thing Consumer Cellular is always there, because sometimes I need a little help.
Sometimes. We're proud to have received the J.D. Power Award for highest customer service 3 times in a row.
Over the years, we've seen a lot of change.
We actually use change. Luckily, there are some things we can still afford.
Like Consumer Cellular.
Stop paying too much for wireless service. Switch to Consumer Cellular. And with our 30-day risk-free guarantee, it's easy. Call 1-800-920-3084. Go online or visit a Target store today.
This is an important medical announcement. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to uncontrollable bleeding and even death. If you've been prescribed one of these drugs and have experienced these dangerous side effects, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that Pradaxa can cause more heart attacks than warfarin, and other countries have already issued safety warnings against this drug. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. The call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to Pradaxa victims, and thousands of Xarelto victims are filing their legal cases. Call the Drug Watch hotline if you or a loved one used Xarelto or Pradaxa and experienced uncontrollable bleeding, brain hemorrhage, or even death. You must call now.
Call 800-793-6055. 800-793-6055.
Everyone's buzzing about Suncoast View.
I like watching the Suncoast View.
I like the Suncoast View.
The cooking segments, I love the recipes. The theater segments are terrific.
Join Stephanie Roberts, Linda Carson, and Bobeth Yates for hot topics, everyday issues, celebrities, food, fashion, fitness, and everything in between. Nothing is off limits.
They're just fun.
For smart, fun talk in the afternoon, watch Suncoast View, weekdays at 4 on ABC7.
Our conversation on the Equifax data breach continues right after we get a check on the first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Coming, Alan, from all over the Sun Coast. This one from Highlands County, Lake Wales. Winnie sending a beautiful shot, and everyone got a chance to see this gorgeous sunset tonight. This one off the pond right there, nice reflection. And then Longboat Key, Mandy Brewer sending this in as well, and a lot of people out there snapping photos because we've had over 100 already sent to our pics, and also my Facebook page as well. And Mandy Brewer, and then this one from Emily Brewer. I don't know if they're related, but this one from Lemon Bay, a little bit down south into Charlotte County, with the nice palm trees there, the gorgeous sunset. And Golden Gate, V. Klee getting this. You can see that off in the distance, flat, calm conditions there on the bay. Well, currently we have clear skies, just a few clouds around, and those clouds came in just at the right time as the sun was setting. Upper level clouds to mid-level clouds, always offering some brilliant shots there. And the dew point 70 now, the humidity at 90%, winds are out of the north-northwest at 8, and the pressure 29.99 inches. That is rising slowly. Our high temperature today, a couple degrees above average. Normal high 80 degrees and the record high 88 degrees. No rainfall reports, been dry so far for November. And you can see temperatures up and down the coast right now, 75 in Parrish, and Waterleaf 76, Holmes Beach at 74, and Southgate, as well as Sarasota, Siesta Key, and the Meadows, all at 74 degrees. A little warmer in Northport at 77, and Plantation at 77, 75 now in Inglewood. Well, the forecast tomorrow looks good for Football Friday night, too. We're going to see decent conditions out there. Temperatures may be a couple degrees cooler. You'll notice that tomorrow, but still into the upper 70s to right around 80 degrees, which is fairly seasonal for this time of year. The forecast for lows tonight will be into the mid-60s along the coast. A little bit colder up in the Panhandle, down to 50 degrees in Tallahassee and Pensacola. That's pretty much the extent of it, though. That colder air will stay to our north. Now, there's another front coming down on Sunday, and that front will bring in some slightly cooler temperatures on Monday and Tuesday of next week. 70 in West Palm, 72 in Miami for a low. And then highs tomorrow will be in the upper 70s to low 80s, 82 in Naples, and 78 degrees expected in Melbourne. Well, the temperatures, again, starting off on Saturday will be upper 60s, so it won't be around along these little cooler temperatures. And then we'll get another front move through on Sunday. So this front washes out on Friday. A little bit of cloudiness and a few showers are possible on the East Coast. Saturday, there's a chance for 1 or 2 late-day showers as some of that moisture works its way over from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. And then, as I mentioned, on Sunday, another front comes down. The rain chance only goes to 30% for a few late-day showers. Well, finally, this one's over. Rena is now been absorbed by a frontal system and headed off into the North Atlantic. Hopefully, that's it. We'll be done with the storms. The official end is at the end of this month. Well, the satellite and radar imagery showing a couple of areas of showers and some snow falling in parts of Michigan near Toronto and also northeast Ohio. This is a low pressure area that continues to move off toward the east. It will continue to take a lot of that moisture with it, so we're not anticipating any rainfall with that. And then out west, boy, a big storm there continues to bring in a lot of moisture into Northern California, Oregon, and Washington. Well, the big story is the Arctic air invasion across the Great Lakes and the Northeast over the weekend. And nothing coming down here anytime soon, but they're going to get another blast beyond that late next week. So we're going to stay rather mild here. No real threat of any significant cold fronts headed our way anytime soon. Northeast winds for boaters 10 to 15 knots. We'll have a moderate chop out there, and the water temperature still into the mid-70s. Well, here's your 7-day forecast. Looks good for Veterans Day. High temperatures, low 80s, a little bit cooler Monday through Thursday of next week, but not extremely cold. We'll have much more on the forecast a little bit later when Alan will be right back after this.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-652-3012. That's 1-800-652-3012. Call now, 1-800-652-3012. For a free brochure, call 1-800-652-3012.
Attention blood thinner users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto or Pradaxa and suffered serious internal bleeding, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. The widely prescribed blood thinners Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to a number of dangerous side effects, including internal bleeding, gastrointestinal bleeding, kidney bleeding, stroke, brain hemorrhaging, and even death. If you or a loved one suffered any of these injuries after taking Xarelto or Pradaxa, call right now. You may be owed significant compensation from the manufacturer. Thousands of blood thinner users may have been exposed to serious risk by these dangerous medications. If you or a loved one took Xarelto or Pradaxa and suffered serious internal bleeding, call right now. Call Nightline Legal to speak with an experienced attorney for a free consultation. If we don't win, there is no fee. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so don't wait. Call right now.
Call 1-800-554-3987. Again, that's 1-800-554-3987.
It's the holiday sales event here at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKX Sport Utility for $349 per month, or Lincoln's flagship, the 2017 Continental, for $449 per month. We have a great selection of certified pre-owned Lincolns. These vehicles have warranties up to 100,000 miles and come with complimentary roadside assistance. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury. Winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Sun Coast since 1978. We are located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
Welcome back. We are talking about the impact of the Equifax data breach and what steps we all better be taking. For joining us for more is Jeff Birnbach, a partner in the Sarasota-based cybersecurity firm Silent, and Jerry Zivic, our own consumer watchdog. So there are two issues here. What do we need to be doing to do everything possible to protect our own personal information? And what is corporate America doing to protect it? You know, we're talking about Equifax. There's a story right here that companies lose an estimated $4 billion each year to hackers. And Jeff, you believe that that is a conservative amount. But that kind of money, you would imagine, would be a motivation for corporations to find out what is the best technology is out there and use it.
Companies are starting to respond, but like most times, many people put in a burglar alarm after they've been robbed. Well, a lot of corporations are starting to move forward, being reactive instead of proactive.
Is the technology out there that companies big and small can buy to basically protect their systems 100%?
Nothing can be 100% secure if it's going to be connected to any public-facing networks. But there are things you can do to dramatically reduce your vulnerabilities and your exposure.
So I take it the majority of the business of Silent is companies that have had a breach and come to you after the fact.
Many times we're brought in to do incident response and active investigations while the incident is still occurring.
And how much of your business are companies saying, you know what, we want to make sure that we don't have a problem in the first place?
The majority of companies, after the initial engagement, would like us to stick around and help them solve their problems so they don't have any future recurrences.
So Jerry, we talked about something like 145 million Americans are victims of the Equifax data breach and may or may not know that right now. So, what should people be doing?
Well, actually, I think what people should do is seek out some sort of insurance for being hacked. There are a number of companies out there that say they do this. A lot of insurance companies offer it as a rider on their home insurance. I think it's cheap money to pay to get some assistance if you have a problem.
There are other companies out there like LifeLock that sell this service to you. Is it that worthwhile?
You can make an argument either way. If they're going to do all of these services and help you, I don't know the extent of help they're really going to provide. But if your credit card gets hacked, you're going to get a refund on that. If your bank account gets hacked, you're going to get a refund on that. So I don't actually know what they're doing that we can't do.
The problem occurs to me is that we all live such busy lives that it's really very difficult for, a man or a woman, a family or whatever, to keep up with all the security routines that you need to do on your personal computer, whether it's ID, passwords and so forth. Where are we moving in terms of making the individual safer, more secure without, loading them down with different passwords?
Well, the problem is people really need to use separate passwords, separate credentials for every different type of account they access. So the challenge isn't to have less passwords, but to have tools that make keeping those passwords accessible easier for you.
Like keychains and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, there are programs online, Keeper, for instance, is one you can get for your Apple phone that lets you go ahead and keep all your usernames and passwords encrypted on your phone and have them accessible to you.
The other challenge, I would imagine, is that our computers at home and our at work in the corporate world are moving towards cloud-based systems. I was having this conversation with Bob just a little while ago. That's the way the computers started. Then we moved to hard drives. Now we're moving back to clouds. And I'm worrying and wondering if this, adds another element of insecurity, be it as it may, to both, people at home and people in the corporate world.
Well, being a non-computer person, and Jeff can probably speak more technically about this, I think it's a huge exposure to give somebody else control of your data. Because you move a bit here, you move a bit there. So we have all these malware, anti-malware, antivirus. So people just change a little bit of code and it's a whole new game. So it's like a mutating virus. And can we keep up with it? I don't think we can. Instead of keeping it in somebody else's cloud, why not plug in a device, a hard drive, thumb drive, whatever it is, into your computer and create your own cloud and back it up? Rely upon yourself.
Jeff, the industry, when it starts going in a certain direction, it seems to be like a snowball.
Sure.
I mean, this is the way we're going, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of things have gone to cloud-based storage. Jerry makes a good point that you're basically abdicating the responsibility for your data to somebody else, whoever the cloud provider is. And like anything else, there are positives and negatives to it. I think Jerry's comment about backing up your data, though, is critically important. Most people should, most people don't, especially on their home units, back up their material on a regular basis, at least once a month, if not more frequently.
And I'm wondering, at least in terms of the corporate basis, whether we live in a bottom line society, and that it's probably less expensive and more efficient to have cloud-based backup systems rather than to have a huge IT department with salaries and so forth.
Sure. Yeah, for corporate applications, clouds may make some sense. But I think for most individuals, the idea of their biggest threat isn't necessarily the data that's in the cloud, but it's the email that's coming into their home systems on a daily basis.
So, Jerry, what are you hearing about in the aftermath of the Equifax breach, what that company and the other credit reporting agencies and the large retailers are doing to make sure that these kinds of things don't happen again?
I don't know that that we're aware of what they're doing behind the scenes. Jeff would know that, and I'm sure it's confidential because they've hired attorneys to retain you. But the reality of it is we have to protect ourselves endlessly. This is our battle and something that we have to do. And I think these credit companies ultimately are going to figure out a way to make money off this. They're going to allow us to lock it and unlock it in a very inexpensive way, and we'll be stuck paying fees. Why can't there be a law passed that said, okay, you are allowed to control your credit history. It's our history. It's an invasion of our privacy. We should be able to control this.
What are they doing right now in the aftermath in terms of credit freezes and charging consumers for that?
Right now, I can't speak to all the different companies. Right now, Equifax allows you till January something to do things for free. What's going to happen after that, I don't know. And who in their right mind would trust Equifax to do anything other than the IRS, who gave them a new contract after the breach?
That seems ironic, but there are also other credit reporting services.
Right.
Are those services offering people the same kind of...
I see bits and pieces of new programs that are coming out from the different companies. I think this is very much in flux still right now, ultimately what they're going to offer. The safest thing to do is just shut down your credit right now.
Which, if you're going to buy a new house or a new car, make large purchases, that becomes problematic.
Start a few weeks ahead of time. If you're going to, generally, if you're buying a house or a car, you know that you're going to be doing that. So start ahead of time and see what's on your credit report. See if there's going to be a problem when you go to make that purchase, and then you can unlock it.
Jeff, I ask this all the time, and it's a little bit away from this topic, but is the government, whether it's the military, the intelligence agencies, the Congress, are they taking steps to make sure that the government computer systems are more secure, or are they doing a good enough job?
Well, I think everybody is trying to go ahead and raise the bar when it comes to security. Government agencies, military, corporations. The challenge, of course, is trying to respond to the changes in technology and the continual changes in threats. We don't see the same threats this year we saw a year or two ago. And I'm sure we're seeing threats now that won't be seen 6 months from now. So it becomes a continual cycle. It's not really a one and done, but it's an ongoing, continual process of evaluation and responding.
All right. We have to take a quick break, and we'll be back for final thoughts when we return. Stay with us.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Our accredited staff will handle all of the Medicare paperwork for free, and best of all, your brace is shipped directly to your home for free. Don't let chronic lower back pain slow you down. Get moving and stay active with a medical-grade back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost. We also accept Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, Aetna, Humana, and other insurance. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace covered by Medicare? Find out for free.
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-715-0835. That's 1-800-715-0835, 1-800-715-0835.
Glasses and contacts. You need them to see, but they put such a strain on your life, you miss precious moments. Due to new advances in vision improvement technology, LASIK is now affordable for almost everyone, with procedures starting as low as $299 per eye and over 1 million procedures performed by our trusted independent surgeons. LASIK surgery is a sensible, safe, and affordable solution to improve your vision. Our simple 3-step process begins with a free evaluation, followed by an extensive preoperative exam to determine if you're a candidate for LASIK eye surgery. Depending on the results of your evaluation and eye exam, you and your surgeon will choose the LASIK option that works best for you. So call now to talk to a LASIK Vision Institute counselor and schedule your free evaluation. That's a $100 value, free. Call the LASIK Vision Institute for your free evaluation and enjoy more of your life.
Call 1-800-813-0109. 1-800-813-0109.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
And our guest joining us right now for final thoughts. Jeff, is this something that simply we have got to get used to, the fact that our personal information, financial information is out there, and we're never going to be able to really shut down the bad guys from accessing it?
Well, I think unfortunately, Alan, we've gotten to a point where there have been so many breaches that release so much information. There's really no turning back. You can't pull that information back. As a friend of mine says, you can't unring the bell. It's already happened. So I think it's a bit of a new normal. However, I think there are things people can do that they can protect themselves. Clearly that information's out. You can't pull it back. But a lot of the attacks that are impacting people are occurring through things other than large data breaches. They're phishing attacks in your email. They're viruses. They're malware. So there are things people can do. They can patch their computers. They can run antivirus. They can be aware of the emails they're getting, especially from unknown people or attachments they're not expecting. Those are things people can do to really reduce their risks and their exposure on a daily basis.
Jerry, the difficulty with that is that we live such frantic lives that when you get some of these phishing emails, people are not as careful as they would like to be in terms of it. Look what happened to John Podesta. One person pushing the wrong button and a scandal comes. So this is something that, to individuals, we all have to deal with.
Well, I think what happens is we have to slow down in our lives. No multitasking. Don't be watching a movie and see an email come in and click on it. Just think about it, like Jeff said. If you don't recognize this person, you don't answer it. There's no rule. If somebody's soliciting a response from you, you're not required to respond. I think you have to be careful, slow down, look at what you're typing, look at what you're doing, and you have to even be aware when you buy a smart gadget to get things that can be updated.
All right. We have to leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you. FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. And remember, for updates on national and local breaking news, you can download our latest updated version of our app. Android users will get the update automatically, but iPhone users need to go to the App Store and re-download the app. Just search for WWSB or My Suncoasts. And we want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Jeff Birnbach is a partner with the Sarasota-based cybersecurity firm Silent, and Jerry Zivic is our own consumer watchdog. When we return, we'll have a final look at your weather. Plus, our headlines, primetime headlines, are coming up in a moment. Stay with us.
Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Make your holidays sparkle with style. Browse our amazing showroom, cute collectible cottages, and beautiful Christmas displays. Find the inspiration, selection, and quality you need to deck the halls merry and bright. Christmas Traditions also features the area's largest selection of quality pre-lit Christmas trees, every size, shape, and color, and plenty of decorations to make your home shine for the holidays. Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Visit us on New 301, just a quarter-mile north of University Parkway.
I heard about the Detoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Detoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our first alert forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. A beautiful evening. It is 73 degrees right now, and November typically one of the best months here. 70 on the dew point temperature, the humidity at 90%. Gotta look at this number and watch it go down. Hopefully it does. And we have a weak frontal system, a cold front, if you will, moving through parts of central Florida right now. We're expecting slightly cooler temperatures. Right now the barometer 2999. That's rising slightly at this hour. And the high today was 82, above average. We'll be closer to this number tomorrow, 80 degrees near the beaches anyway. Still in the low 80s east of I-75. We'll see generally mild conditions again with partly cloudy skies. The rainfall, not much to report. Pretty quiet right now, and we'll stay that way too, it looks like. Through the weekend for the most part, there's a slight chance for a few showers, but not a rain out. We're not looking at a washout at all. Well, the cooler air is still to the north of us right now, but some of that will filter in, I think, over the upcoming 24 to 36 hours. And then another cold front, a little stronger but still weak, will move through on Sunday, bringing with it some slightly cooler temperatures to start the work week. Well, the Gulf water temperature is 76. That's the same temperature as Mayak City and Northport, as well as Venice now. Cortez at 73 degrees, so pretty comfortable all across the region right now. And we're anticipating a beautiful day tomorrow. We'll see a few clouds around. It won't be totally sunny, but still that front washing out over the top of us for the most part will keep us in a mixture of sun and clouds throughout the day. And temperatures warming pretty close to seasonal averages, maybe a couple degrees cooler than that near the beaches. Well, here's the RPM forecast model. You'll see this low track off into the Atlantic, the associated front with it kind of stationary right over the central part of the state, where it will, for the most part, wash out. Now, notice this is Friday at 11 o'clock. A few showers on the East Coast. Nothing going on here for football Friday night, so that looks to be really nice. But then we'll see a few showers trying to make their way over on the day Saturday. So the rain chance at 20% for a passing shower or two on Saturday. Well, the big picture showing not a lot going on in the central U.S. We have a weak system moving through parts of the eastern Great Lakes and off toward the northeast. And out west, boy, a big storm bringing rainfall into California, Oregon, and Washington. Well, this is some heavy weather now near Charleston. And to the north we go, into Michigan near Detroit, and some Toronto getting some snowfall there. Buffalo, basically it's been rainfall for the most part in Buffalo, but that'll change over to snow, I suspect, by sunrise tomorrow. Snow flurries, some lake effect snows occurring across parts of Michigan and all the way down to near Toledo, but Detroit getting a brief snow flurry at times. That Arctic air, everyone's been talking about it. nationally. Well, that's going to be moving basically to the east, and it is going to get cold, folks, all across the northeast United States. So that is not coming down here anytime soon. For boaters, winds out of the northeast at 10 to 15 knots tomorrow, so a little bit breezier. Moderate chop in the bays and inland waters. The water temperature pretty warm, 76 degrees for this time of year. The UV index at 11. Tides upcoming. Low tide will be at 10:12 and high at 3:43 tomorrow morning. The forecast tonight, a little bit cooler, 65 for a low, maybe some low 60s well inland. And look for a little chance for fog as a result of the winds being a little stronger. Tomorrow's forecast looks good, partly cloudy, slightly cooler, mild, 82 for your high. The extended forecast calling for nice weather for Veterans Day. The parade should have no problems. The parade's around towns. And look for slightly cooler weather Monday through Thursday of next week. Alan's back with primetime headlines right after this.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-652-3012. That's 1-800-652-3012. Call now, 1-800-652-3012. For a free brochure, call 1-800-652-3012.
40 million. That's the number of free phones still available and the number of how many Americans can still get prescriptions free.
Free could be wonderful.
That's why I'm still working at 77 years old to pay off my prescriptions.
I needed to have a prescription filled and I had to leave because I couldn't afford it.
Call now and see what's available for you. Free prescriptions. Over 10 million people get prescriptions free, and the program has expanded so another 40 million can. Free dental. Over 15,000 dentists have provided over $330 million in free dental work. Free cell phones. 40 million free cell phones are still available with free minutes and more.
Free cell phone would change my life right now because it is something I cannot afford to get.
Medical supplies like back braces, knee braces, and diabetic supplies may be covered too. The free RX Plus hotline has saved callers over $12 million on their prescription costs. These free programs are now available to 40 million more people. Call now.
I'll be right back.
Checking primetime headlines, we turn to the president's trip to Asia. President Trump is in China with the latest. Karen Travers, who is traveling with the president.
Good afternoon. President Trump spoke a lot today about his great chemistry and great relationship with China's President Xi, all part of a diplomatic strategy to flatter Xi, to get him to use his leverage to help resolve the North Korean nuclear crisis.
An elaborate welcome ceremony for President Trump outside Beijing's Great Hall of the People. Cannons, military bands, and some very excited children. Later, China's President Xi and his wife hosting the president and first lady for a fancy state dinner. The room decorated in gold from floor to ceiling. The leaders were shown a video with a timeline of their relationship, from their first meeting at the president's club in Florida to today in Beijing. Before the ceremonial events, the two leaders got down to business. Several thorny issues on their agenda. China was a favorite target for Mr. Trump during the presidential campaign.
We can't continue to allow China to rape our country. They're getting away with murder.
Sitting next to President Xi in Beijing, a major change in tone.
I don't blame China. After all, who can blame a country for being able to take advantage of another country for the benefit of its citizens. I give China great credit.
The American president in China blaming his predecessors for allowing the trade deficit to balloon. The other big issue, the nuclear standoff with North Korea. President Trump using these meetings with President Xi to push for a greater commitment from China.
President Trump called on President Xi to use China's significant influence as North Korea's biggest economic partner. President Trump said if Xi works hard on it, it will happen. Karen Travers, ABC News, traveling with the president in Beijing.
4 women are claiming Alabama Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore pursued inappropriate relations with them when they were teenagers and he was in his 30s. One accuser says she was just 14 years old when Moore, who was 32, initiated a sexual encounter. The relationships reportedly happened in the late 70s and early 80s when Moore was an assistant district attorney in northern Alabama. In the statement, Moore's campaign denied the allegations, but several Senate Republicans say Moore must step aside if there is any truth to the allegations. Yet another celebrity is being accused of sexual harassment. 5 women are now accusing comedian Louis C.K. of sexual misconduct. Among his accusers, other comedians and writers. The Thursday premiere of his new movie, I Love You, Daddy, has been canceled, and an appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. The neighbor of Kentucky Senator Rand Paul has pleaded not guilty to assault. Renee Boucher is accused of tackling Paul from behind outside his home last week, breaking 6 of Paul's ribs. Boucher's attorney says the indictment has nothing to do with politics and describes it as a dispute over landscaping issues. He faces up to a year in jail if convicted. Republicans on Capitol Hill tried their level best to kill Obamacare, but guess what? People are signing up for Obamacare in droves, despite the Trump administration slashing open enrollment, advertising, and support. Upwards of 600,000 people signed up in the first 4 days, far outpacing last year's rate. Nearly a quarter of those were first-time enrollments. In addition to cutting advertising and support for enrollment, the Trump administration cut the sign-up period from 3 months to 6 weeks. However, the federal exchange healthcare.gov remains intact. Venus Williams is telling her story under oath about a fatal car accident. Williams today answered questions in a deposition about a deadly crash over the summer. The June crash in Palm Beach Gardens claimed the life of a 78-year-old man. His family is suing, claiming she's at fault for being in the middle of an intersection at a red light. Williams was never ticketed, and police say she was not at fault. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us, and have a good night.